Yeah, your announcement for Athlete of the Year, like tremendous, incredible positive feedback. That's what we've seen across the board. There's always going to be some negativity. And I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sport.
She decides to go racial. And what she says is she feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white.
But before she entered a league that started in 1997, there were the Lisa Leslies and the Dawn Staleys and the Cheryl Swoops of it all, who really built this league, and they weren't getting the attention.
Caitlan Clark, everyone, is a national phenomenon. She is Rookie of the Year for the WNBA, and heads are exploding on the left and on the right because everyone is looking at this through the lens of, you guessed it, race. Everyone is looking at the WNBA that has traditionally been overwhelmingly black in terms of the playership, and they're looking at how it wasn't very popular over the years. It wasn't making as much money as it has recently since Caitlan Clark has joined the league, because all of the games that she plays in, the arenas are full, ticket sales are up, people watching, viewership is up. And everyone is looking at this through the lens of, hey, this is just race. White people should be out there celebrating the black players who are actually the progenitors in the WNBA that even made it possible for Caitlan Clark to even be in the position that she's in. And I think we're missing the point. I'm going to rejoin that later on in the video and explain what I mean about that. I think it's really, really simplistic for us to boil everything down to just race. But let's take a look at this segment that was on Abby Phillips' show on CNN. Scott Jennings was on that show. He made a really interesting point.
The attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something. What did they build? A league that loses money every year?
What did they build? Let's be honest. The WNBA loses $50 million per year and has lost $50 million per year since its inception in 1997. The only reason why this organization has continued to exist is because it's being subsidized by the more popular NBA. But let's be honest. Let's be honest, if this exact same organization had predominantly white players and it was losing $50 million a year, or if there was any business that was majority white people and it was losing $50 million a year and it was being propped up by someone else, the same people who are calling it racist that Caitlan Clark is getting all of this attention would be the exact same people who are saying this business shouldn't even exist. It only exists because it's being subsidized, and it's only being subsidized because it's white. So we keep looking at this through the lens of race. Let's go back to that segment. I want you to hear two people in particular and their opinion.
But she has the capacity.
What do you mean?
To
what do they build? What do you mean? What do they build?
What kind of a business did they build?
They've had a business model that has allowed women who have never had a professional sport here in America, in the United States of America, to play. They've kept it alive as opposed to sending them overseas. That's what she's built. That's what they've built.
The definition of white supremacy. Do you know what the definition of white supremacy is? It's when you feel like equality is oppression. And for some reason, it gets so entangled because people just simply want equality, and you feel like that's taking away something from you.
So again, you hear both Carrie and Bakari just playing the race card. Everything is about race. And Bakari saying, we just want equity. We don't necessarily want equality. We want equity. The reason why the WNBA hasn't been successful is because not enough people want to watch women play basketball. It's really just that simple. It has nothing to do with race. And I'm going to prove to you that it has nothing to do with race. Let's look at 3 sports really quickly, just to bring it full circle. If we go back and we look at, for example, let's go back and look at women's tennis. If you look at the racial demographics of tennis, you'll see that it's 72.8% white 8.9% Black, 7.5% Hispanic and Latino. And I went back specifically and looked at the racial demographics of tennis in 1995. Why is 1995 an interesting year? Because if I ask you who's the most popular, who is the most accomplished woman to have ever played tennis, most of you will think of who? Serena Williams. Serena Williams, for over a decade, was the #1 player in women's tennis in the world, and she was Black. And Black people, they felt a sense of vicarious celebration. They celebrated vicariously because they saw this Black woman rise to the top of a sport that had been traditionally dominated by white people.
It's the total package. It's the little girl with beads who grew up to be the phenomenal woman that she is. She's somebody my daughter can look up to and say, if she did it, I can do it too.
Yes. She played the game like her life depended on it, and she changed the game forever. She has paved the way for the future of tennis for Black and brown girls and every little girl to say, I can do this too. She overcame tremendous obstacles to play a sport that is not a sport that's played in urban areas.
I'm here after 33 years of being a waitress and never ever having a weekend off. I took a whole weekend off this week just to come see her because she's done that much for me. Just being anything that you want to be. So when my granddaughter sees Serena, she's like, Nana, I can do that because Serena did it.
We saw her as a young child being able to navigate these like predominantly white spaces, and the fact that she didn't have to like downplay herself and like she could wear her hair with beads at the end like I have today, or she could be as like loud or fun and crazy and like vibrant as her personality in every single form as it came, and she never had to like water herself down to be able to excel in these places is really like, it's so touching, and like that's a story that, you know, resonates with all of us.
You see these Black women saying, hey, now my daughter might have the opportunity or will believe that she has the opportunity to compete in this sport. Why? Because she saw Serena Williams rise to the top of a heretofore sport that was being dominated by white people. Same thing with golf. Let's look at the racial demographics on golf. Same thing. If you look at the racial demographics in golf, in the sport of golf in 1992, you'll see again, 72.8% white, 8.9% Black, 7.5% Hispanic or Latino. Why did I pick 1995? Because in 1995, who was the most popular, most professional, most successful player in the world in golf? You guessed it, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was celebrated. He was lauded by the Black community. They celebrated and they vicariously experienced a level of celebration. Why? Because they saw a Black person being successful in a sport that was dominated by white people. So it engendered a belief in people that, hey, we as Black people can be successful in the sport of tennis. Nothing wrong with that. Not racial. I'll get back to that in a moment. But you might be listening to this video, you might be watching this video and saying, hey, David, those are old examples. Serena Williams has retired. Tiger Woods is already, probably on the backside of the zenith of his professional career, no pun intended. So let's look at a more recent example. Simone Biles. Simone Biles, young Black woman, and she is the #1 gymnast in the world. Young Black woman. But what was the #1 criticism from Black women when Simone Biles was out there competing as a gymnast on the world stage? I'll give you 3 guesses, but you'll only need 1.
That's the world's most decorated gymnast clapping back at haters off the mat. Simone Biles taking to her Instagram story after making history at the Paris Olympics to address critics commenting on her hair. Writing, "Don't come for me about my hair. It was done, but bus has no AC, and it's like 9,000 degrees. This coming after social media trolls slammed her updo over the weekend.
She just won the Olympics and you guys are talking about her hair? I don't understand. I don't understand.
That's right, her hair. That was the #1 criticism, was her hair. And it's the same thing in the field of gymnastics. Gymnastics has overwhelmingly been dominated by white people. Approximately 60% of gymnasts are white. So it was not uncommon. It was not disingenuous for black people to say, hey, we see a black person who has risen to the top of a sport that is being dominated by white people. We are proud of her. We're going to watch, we're going to participate, we're going to support her. So we see this in 3 different sports. We see it in tennis, we see it in gymnastics, we see it in golf. Now let's look at the racial demographics of the WNBA. In 2023, over 60% of WNBA players were black or African American. So over 60% of the players in the WNBA are black. So now in 2023, what happens? You have this young 21-year-old white female just graduated from college, enters the WNBA, and white people do the same thing with Caitlan Clark that black people did with Serena Williams and Tiger Woods and Simone Biles. They say, hey, here's one of us that's going into a field and dominating. One of ours has risen to the top. So when she's playing, we're going to go and watch. If we can't go and watch, we're going to go and buy tickets. What I'm describing right now is not racism, it's tribalism. People are tribal. People like to support people who look like them or who are part of their tribe. It has nothing to do with race. And here's a further example of that. When Simone Biles goes and she competes in the Olympics, she's not going as a black woman. She's going as a member of the United States, a representative of the United States in the sport of gymnastics. So that's the tribe. They've broken down the competition in the Olympics by tribe, and we just happen to call that tribe your nationality, or the tribe or the country that you represent. Has nothing to do with race, because in the United States, you have all different types of races that represent the United States in the Olympics. It is so easy for us to break down everything along racial lines, and I can understand on some level because it's really close. Racism is a form of tribalism, but tribalism is not always racism. But because it's so close, the area is so gray, we just glom onto the thing that we see that's most obvious to us. And in the United States, and based on the history in the United States, the thing that's the easiest to segment people by is the color of their skin. But I submit to you, the popularity of Caitlan Clark is not because white people didn't want to watch the NBA before a white person got there necessarily because the players were black. They weren't interested in watching the sport until they saw one of their own. I submit to you that the same way viewership of the WNBA by white people, because they're following the sport, because Caitlan Clark is playing and dominating, it's no different than black viewership going up for tennis when Serena Williams was winning. No different than black viewership going up when Tiger Woods was winning in golf. And it's no different than black viewership going up today when people want to see Simone Biles perform these fantastic feats that she does in gymnastics that no one else in the world can replicate. Everything is not about race. It is okay for people to form a tribe around whatever characteristics that they want to form a tribe around. And we understand tribalism in this country. All you have to do is look at the NFL. When the NFL comes on, when the NFL season starts, this country, most men in this country and a lot of women watch American football. Why? Because it's the most popular sport in the United States. But if you go outside of the United States, what's the most popular sport? Soccer. So this is, again, and it's not about race, it's about tribalism. In the United States, we love football. We love American football. Outside of the United States, soccer is the most popular sport in the world. Doesn't have anything to do with race. It has to do with how we form our tribes. And if we can just appreciate that people have a right to form their tribes along whatever characteristics that they choose, and that's what the definition of a tribe is, by the way. If we can just get that through our heads, if we can just accept that, we can get beyond looking at everything through the lens of race, and our country and our society will be better for it. If you're still hanging out, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, like the video, and guess what? Now you can become a member of the David Seaton Show, and your comments will be highlighted. I respond to all comments. I appreciate you hanging out and watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one.